Here comes the nasty gram.
Send a priest to save my soul, forget it.
Welcome back to the Nastygram Dungeons & Dragons podcast. This is Chapter 11, Sojourn.
Feeling it too hard is the poison to the heart of a sick.
The garbage-choked alleyways of the stench streets are quiet except for the scurrying of rats. Goblins and other non-drow quickly make their way about, afraid to spend more time on the streets than necessary. In Dothclom, the many-folk district, merchants haggle over the price of ogre slaves, while the scent of cooked meat from street vendors fills the air. On the pristine, fairy fire-lit streets of Narbondelin, wealthy young drow go about their business, attended by a menagerie of attendants and slaves. In Donegarten, groves of mushrooms and beds of moss are tended by goblins, while herds of rothe graze. In a smaller side cavern, high above the main cavern of the city, young drow soldiers drill with spears and shields in the training grounds of the academy in Tir Braish. Below the city, in a chasm known as the Claw Rift, dark deals and secret meetings happen in ancient tunnels and sprawling rope bridge walkways. Along the west wall, the fortresses and palaces of the noble houses glow with fairy fire, lighting magnificent architecture and sculptures whose beauty seems a contradiction to the wicked creatures that call them home. In the center of all of this, the only place of stone that has not been carved or shaped or painted by the drow, a column of stone from floor to ceiling that glows red hot with the inner heat. Narbondel. Glowing from base to tip, it tells the denizens of Menzoberranzan that on the surface, it is midday. And above Narbondel, hanging from the cavern ceiling like a reflection of the towers and spires below, are hundreds of stalactites with carved walkways and bridges. Yet the upper city is dark and still, abandoned and left to the wilds. Within one of those stalactites is a temple to Loth, a large statue of the Spider Queen that once shifted from a beautiful woman to a spider has lost its magic. Now it is just a formless drow carved of dark gray stone. In front of it, an altar. And sitting on that altar, a drow waits patiently. Zavir.
Hello.
Remind us what Zavir's looking like these days as he sits in the abandoned altar of abandoned temple of Loth.
Zavir looks a little different. Gone is the Pawafi. Instead, he wears still a long black cloak, but it's almost not form-fitting, but it's wrapped tight around him, almost like a long trench coat. And the cowl comes up over his face, above the bridge of his nose, revealing just his eyes. His hair is still a long white ponytail pulled back. His eyes, the silver pupils, which were somewhat distinctive. Now it is only the right that is that silver. The left is a solid pale blue orb. Across his face, around that eye, over his brow, running down onto his cheek, is a jagged, blackened scar on his kind of graphite gray skin. As he paces back and forth on the altar, 4 figures stand behind him, silently, holding shields and spears or swords, black cowls covering their faces, maybe the occasional dancing light Zavir summons revealing bone white underneath.
You hear in the distance. It echoes off the walls. You look around. This temple had been abandoned back when you came here, almost 100 years ago. It hasn't been touched since. It's in a state of complete decay. There are holes in the floor, and through those holes you can see the city below you. You're literally in a stalactite. You see the lights of the west wall, the fortresses of the Drow nobles. Really, almost is reminiscent of like Las Vegas, where it's like kind of stretches out and it's very lit up because of all the magic. You hear that sound again. From a side tunnel, enter 3 Drow, walking 3 abreast. They're surprised to see you. They didn't plan on meeting you here. But Jidin, Salavar, and the one you remember as Savrakeen, although she looks much different, enter the room. Your 2 groups sort of come to the center of the room. In the middle between the 2 of you is this hole, this crack in the floor where you can see the city below, and you all sort of look at each other and you look down at the city below you. Welcome back to Menzoberranzan. I'm going to be your dungeon master. And this is a Tangled Web Part 2. Back home.
Fairy Fire Bugaloo.
And I'm joined by...
This is Josh playing Zavir, the mouthless mage of Menzoberranzan.
Hey everyone, Dan here playing Salavar, the warlock who is not a drow.
What's good, fam? Matt, I'll be back as Jidin Duskrin, the masked rogue.
Hey, this is Devin, and I'll be playing Moon Maiden Salai, Skycaller of Lorel, and back again in the dark.
I'm excited, guys. I had a lot of fun with Part 1, but Part 1 was kind of typical D&D adventure, right? It was like we gotta get there and kill the baddie. Part 2 is...
Was Batty the group of villagers?
I don't know.
Batty was the other evil person
all right,
that you were
cool.
trying, the power, you were trying to steal her power and everything. Yeah, actually you guys are the bad guys, but I'm excited about this.
Wow.
Because we're
Shots fired.
actually in Menzoberranzan. We're actually doing real Dark Elf game now. So for all of you who stuck with us for 11 episodes and you were like, this isn't really a game about Menzoberranzan, we're getting there.
Point of order. Since we started Part 1, I have consumed several of the
Devin's going nuts.
Dark Elf novels. I read the first, the Homeland trilogy, and I am partway through the second book of the Icewind Dale trilogy. This is good.
Crazy.
I mean, I was wondering why you got that Drizzt tattoo on your chest. But now it makes sense.
Do you want to see my Guinevere?
That is furry.
So, what's happened in the world since we left off? I guess for those listening, it's been 2 weeks. But we took a little hiatus from this game. Kind of collectively did a lot of planning for the last episode, which was that interlude episode where we kind of saw where all the characters were for the last 100 years. 100 years.
100. Or 99.
99 years have passed. Yeah.
Why is that important?
Who knows? If you're paying close attention, you know why. So yeah, 99 years have passed. The characters have changed a lot. They've had a lot of life experiences. We kind of covered in the last game. Savrakeen became Salai, the Moon Maiden.
She became the Wanderer.
The Wanderer.
And then became
and
Salai.
Then became Salai. She also had a hot and steamy relationship with a dwarf.
Oh, yeah.
Did you fuck that half elf too?
Why not?
No, they were
Just
companions.
shared berries.
Dude,
Strawberries.
it's a good berry, and they're grown
It's a
in
good
Lorel. They've been making those.
Yeah. Shared your good berry with him.
They're red all the way through to the inside.
Whoa.
All the way down.
So that's what Savrakeen. It's going to be tough for me to start calling you Salai. I have to just cross out Savrakeen in my little thing here. That's what Savrakeen's been doing.
Call her Moon Maiden or Lady.
Jidden joined Bergendarth, which for those of you who aren't giant nerds like us, that is a mercenary company of dark elves that actually is on the surface now. They're no longer in Menzoberranzan, but they're a pretty successful mercenary company. And Jidden is a kind of high-ranking member, a lieutenant probably. And the reason that you're probably a lieutenant is because we leveled up quite a bit.
Yeah.
A little bit.
We're level 12 now because 100 years. have gone
Yikes!
by.
Stripes.
Yeah, this is we don't do a lot of like high level shit like this. So it'll be
I
fun.
think until very recently, in the
Yep.
30 some odd years we've been playing Dungeons and Dragons, I don't think we've ever played above 10th.
We got to
Matt's game.
11th
Yeah.
11th
Yeah,
and
there's
Matt's?
10th or 11th.
in Matt's
Yeah.
game.
Yep.
So that's what Jidden's been up to. Salivar started a small business, got married, had some kids.
Lost
you
a
know.
wife, lost some kids. Well, trying to find them.
And then
Yeah.
the man came around.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then Severe. Severe's a tragic figure. Holy shit.
Singing Kumbaya on the mountainside.
Yeah. Severe's had a tough life. I think we're probably going to see a different side of him these days. Do you guys want to talk a little bit about mechanically how your characters have changed? We don't have to get into like every detail.
I want
But
Josh to
what
read
level-
every single one of the spells that he has.
What level were we? Remind me when
Fifth.
we
5.
we went from 5 to 12. Wow. So I'm sure.
Yeah, at home, just ask your DMs in between sessions if you can level up 7 times.
Dude,
It should be fine.
tell him you can call it part 2.
It's pretty normal.
If you give your DM as many awesome interlude scenes as these guys did, then they might let you.
Might even
100 years
get
later.
a couple magic items
Might
out
get a
of it
couple.
too.
You never know. So Devin, tell me, you went from 5th to 12th.
Yep.
Did you stay straight up cleric?
Druid.
Druid. That's what I
Druid.
meant. Yeah.
Still a priestess.
Still a cleric.
Different god, different goddess. But yeah, straight druid.
Cool.
A lot of my class abilities, my archetype abilities, deal with my wild shape,
Mhm.
and I can do some cool things with it now. I'm considered a magical sort of
Level-
weapon.
Level 12 druids get some funky shit.
I can transform into a stronger creature than I
Cool.
could before.
Yeah, you don't have to. You can keep. You don't have to spoil.
Did you kill any air elementals or anything?
Flashback.
I mean, a true
Flashback?
evil acts.
Wasn't evil. You weren't there.
Oh, sure. No, that's fine.
But
Harmless air.
some feats I took for some of my spellcasting
It was
stuff.
actually allowing an orphanage to breathe.
Ah.
The bellows, the HVAC system of the Underdark orphanage.
But I can high level spells or high level casters. There's a lot of spells.
Devin has a giant stack of spell cards. It's intimidating.
It's not the biggest at the table. I'll tell you that.
That's what she said.
Yeah.
Sorry. Sucks, but she did.
But yeah, so I get some cool. Yeah, there's some really cool high level spells. My beast shape is more powerful.
Cool.
A couple magic items, and that's it.
Yeah.
New me.
Cool.
Jidden, what did you do? Did you
Straight rogue, baby.
Jidden stayed straight rogue.
Yep.
Arcane Trickster 12.
That is correct. He's got some fun stuff. If you're familiar with a lot of the spells, you probably may be able to guess some of the things that he took from some of those interlude scenes. He's having a great time in life now. You know,
Really?
absolutely.
Oh,
He's
cool.
prospering.
He's a successful mercenary.
Way better than he was in the city.
Yeah, when we left, you were pretty bitter. A
Yeah,
lot of mommy issues.
yeah. There still exist, but you know, he's got a great therapist. He's been working through it. 2 sessions a week. It's really helped.
Intense.
Does your insurance
Do you-
pay for that?
Only
honest question. Do you think Jidden like owns like a house in Waterdeep or some shit? Like
No,
No.
He probably has like,
he lives in the guild house or
yeah, probably
Rents
maybe
a
has
room.
like a squat place where he just like crashes. But he probably doesn't. He probably doesn't own fucking anything.
I mean, he probably has an insane amount of gold because, like, he's that guy that like has been working for his whole life and like doesn't really do anything. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't spend it on booze.
Very
like,
frugal.
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, it's probably like probably just locked up in the guild house.
Yeah,
and like when
yeah.
he needs something, he just goes and takes a couple of coins and leaves the rest. 'cause
Splurges
what's
on
the
some
point?
few beers at the fights at the Fields of Triumph.
Yeah, maybe. Likes to keep his head about himself though. So
Nice. All right. Salvar.
Went
Sticking straight warlock?
stuck warlock. And so level 12 warlock, he gets 3 more invocations. All pretty straightforward. Eldritch Smite, Life Drinker, Eldritch Mind, all good stuff.
Now, I'm a little hung up on this. Where's the fucking axe?
Oh, yeah. Well, we gave it to RT, so I'm not
Okay.
sure what he did with it. We'll have to ask him.
No, you bring it up. You should
I
bring
got
it
an
up.
idea. I got a plan for the axe.
Okay. And then he got 1 more spell slot. So from 2 spell slots to 3, we're moving up in the world.
It's a lot for you.
huge.
And he's got his Arcanum. And yeah, that's sort of the life of the party for
A lot of
Salivar.
casty. A lot of casty.
Mhm.
And Josh, Zavir, I mean, everyone else, one class, no multi-classing. Keep it simple.
Yep.
Classic
Straightforward.
power gamer, wizard, cleric, warlock.
Jeez.
Yeah, so
Oh, that's really cool because
Gotta get those dips
they
in.
all use different attributes for
Yeah.
spellcasting.
anyone that cares about like making efficient characters is going to hate what I've done with Zavir. But behind the curtains, one thing I said like at like our little session 0 to Jake was like, I want this to like his arc to be about failing. Start with a classic, arrogant, powerful wizard, thinks he has the world and everyone on his fingers. And, this whole, I wanted to kind of revolve around his thing with Alita, and his worship of Shar. And the way part 1 ended, it was kind of a moment of like, I cast it as Zavir kind of failing. So basically, and the other thing is Zavir's an extremely annoying character. So I didn't want to subject the audience to as much of it. So I had a idea of doing it. I talked to Jake, and he's like, yeah, we can kind of make it work. Don't worry too much of the mechanics. And I'm like, it'd be cool to actually make it work mechanically. And so there's some hand waving, but I took a warlock and in story terms, he is now like his power instead of coming through Shar, on the divine, that side of things is through the patron, which is Alita in his ring. So he is a patron, or a warlock with a patron of the undead, the spirit in the ring.
You're in an abusive relationship with a spirit inside a ring.
Right. And he can only cast spells dependent upon the familiar, who is really more loyal to Alita than it is to him, even if it's bound to him.
Cool.
So he's trapped. He's in a real bad spot. And obviously is physically in pretty bad condition. A little humbled. I'm looking for a way out.
There they are, our 4 heroes. Standing on the crumbling floor, looking through a hole at the city below them. The streets of Narbondelin, the fancy district, are lit up in neat little rows of purple. They're right directly below you. You're all kind of just staring down into the darkness, looking at each other. No one has said anything yet. You hear that clicking sound in the distance again.
Zavir looks at you. He's standing there as if expectant. Doesn't seem remotely surprised to see any of you. The cowl of his cloak kind of quickly ruffles, and this shadow jumps out, runs down his arm onto the front of the dais. You see it's an imp-like creature, scaly but jet black. You can barely see. Zavir actually has a few dancing lights kind of circling overhead, and you can see it somewhat reflecting the darker pools of its eyes as it kind of perches there, imp-like, and looks across at the 3 of you. It says, "Prompt. This is a wizard had said.
Excuse me?
Very surprised look on Salai's face.
Savakeen, you look different than he had described.
And so do you, Zavir." And she's looking at, addressing the little creature.
You may call me
Azun.
A zoom.
You might say the spider got the wizard's tongue. You'll have to hear from me now.
You see, as this creature says it, Xavier kind of casts his eyes down at you. See some hostility in his eyes, and you look again at that pale blue eye. It's a flat pale blue, solid, the whole orb. And if you look at it for a few seconds, it almost seems, you can't really tell for certain, it almost pulses a little lighter, but it's so gradual, it's hard to notice right now.
You speak for Xavier?
Yes, out of necessity. Master, would you not reveal yourself?
He turns back kind of mockingly towards Xavier. Xavier kind of looks down, and without making a motion, the cowl of his cloak almost like
Unravels.
Venom's suit sort of just unravels. It pulls back and kind of forms up a hood around his head. And you see the horror of the visage of Xavier. That the eyes, that black scar running down onto his cheek. And then as it gets below that, one half of his jaw is entirely gone. On the left side, a little jagged remnant remains. Behind it is just dark, scarred up. You see into his empty throat, just a hole, kind of like as he kind of swallows, it sort of pulses. See a couple drops fall down on his chest. And you see, as you all look at him, he kind of casts his eyes down, and that cowl kind of quickly reforms over it.
I see it finally caught up with you.
Xavier's eyes flash to you, but in the past where every flash of Xavier's eyes held malice and contempt, it just kind of looks softer than you expect.
More resigned.
And you can tell suddenly that the imp is communicating with Xavier. It looks back to him and then looks to you, Jidden, and says,
The wizard wishes his thanks for the vengeance upon the one who did this to him. Fenray Tuantal.
It was her.
Yes. Before my time, before I was here to take care of him.
Coincidence, I assure you. But you're welcome. I'll put it in the book you owe.
Xavier's eyes just kind of move past you. They go back to Savrakeen, who probably looks the most different. I mean, you all look, more epic. You've leveled up your gear. You've got a mix of purple and blues.
My circlet has
Matching sets.
My circlet projects a minor illusion. My eyes glow blue, and I have the moon, like the phase of the moon is just always clearly presented on her forehead. But she takes something out of her robe, and as she takes it out, Azum, the fiend, sort of recoils as she holds it up, and it's an amulet, and it spins as she holds it by the string. You can see just those moments as it swings that there are infernal runes warding against fiends and infernal things. She holds it up. She strides past up to the altar. She like waves it in front of the fiend's face and then holds it in front of you.
Azun runs and scurries back up and kind of like halfway into the cowl, almost peeking behind Xavier's head.
In her other hand is a burned, expended spell book and a fractured wand.
Xavier kind of tilts his head looking at them. Does he recognize them?
They are something that a noble wizard would keep on them at all times. An amulet of protection from fiends, a wand. You can tell it's a wand of telekinesis, but it's been expended totally. And they rolled a natural 1 on the D20 when they used the last charge. And then a spell book that looks like the wizard who owned it forced cast the spells, like cast them out of the spell book as spell scrolls, destroying the
Desperation.
Yep.
The little imp pokes his head around and says,
The wizard. He is not surprised to see you've given yourself over to the moon completely.
She smiles at Xavier.
He thinks it suits you. I think you look rather bestial.
She starts like whispering. There's a couple of spells that she could use to just deal with this little creature, but she keeps it around. It feels a buzz in the air. You know what? I'm going to cast Fairy Fire on the fiend.
You cast it in a radius.
On
It's like a 20-foot cube.
Drizzt can paint people.
Don't start, Devin.
You don't have that.
You
feat.
are not Drizzt.
Have that feat. I know you're reading
Tattoo.
the book.
I know you got the tattoo, but you just don't have it, bud.
She imagines her doing that, and then it's just back to her, and she just like
as soon as you
twiddling
start
her fingers
and canting the words, you see Azun. He mutters something in Infernal as Zavir reaches out, and the spell dies in your throat. Counterspell.
She smiles, and her teeth are showing. It's a joyous sort of happy smile.
This creature of yours, Zavir, it serves only you.
It says, I am no creature of his. I have agreed to assist him, to protect him from himself.
What are the terms?
The terms, they are not of your concern.
She's not looking at the imp. She's looking at Zavir, trying to read his face or what remains.
Who's she?
He.
Oh, I thought that was a bigger change you should
Yeah,
tell
right.
us about.
Well, you know.
No wonder your wife.
Wow.
You see Zavir kind of turn his head, and the imp like glances and kind of like scurries a little lower down his shoulder onto his upper arm and says, I execute the wizard's bidding as per our arrangement. He knew you were coming. He also has business in the city. His fate is entwined with yours. And as that is, so is mine.
Echoes off the walls.
Does this sound
Do we know what hook horrors sound like?
Yeah, probably.
Does it sound like that?
Yeah. You remember these? You remember this area, the upper city, being abandoned, but drow patrols would still, come through, make sure that monsters and squatters or that no one was up here. Looking around now as you hear this, and you all kind of realize, like, that sound from your time in the academy, going on patrols around the exterior of the city. You just see a lot of
Detritus.
Yeah, it's just kind of overgrown. It's just been allowed to sit here.
Mm-hmm.
And there's, you might see like a small creature scurry by. It's not as abandoned as it used to be. I guess the best way to describe it would be the Underdark has
reclaimed.
taken it
Yeah.
back.
Okay.
This is a wild place now.
Salai takes out from her robe another thing, and it's a owl feather. It's a white owl feather. It's the first one she found back those almost 100 years ago. And she focuses on it for a moment, spins it around in her finger, and I'm going to cast Enhance Ability to gain the owl's wisdom.
Zavir reaches into under his cloak, pulls something out, closes his eyes. You see kind of very subtle motions of his head, what one would do when they were speaking. But instead of the sound coming from there, it again, if you're close enough, it's quiet enough, if you have high perception, you hear weird little whispery smacking noises coming from Zavir, but the arcane words come from Azun. And there's a shimmer. For a moment, you see a small orb, an eye, and then it disappears from view. Zavir casts Arcane Eye, and then moves his hand, and it moves out into the darkness, down the tunnels towards where the clicking sounds are coming from. Azun turns to the three of you and says,
The wizard has observed his home city, your home, quite weaker than it was. Fallen upon hard times, many losses.
Is that why you're here, Zavir? To exploit a weakness?
The wizard doesn't even know why he is here. He just knows that he must be.
when he says that, Zavir casts, like his eyes shift like angrily
Alita,
to the creature.
You hear Alita's voice in your head. She says, "He's wise. That is why we're here. And he may not know it, but that's why he's here as well. That's why his patron has sent him. Our goals may align. This place is falling apart. Perhaps that one can help speed it up."
Zavir, his arm lifts, his finger points towards you, Salivar, and you hear in your head Zavir's voice that you haven't heard for 99 years. And
His eyes widen a little.
he says, "I am called here for a reason I've yet to know, but I am certain it is with you I will find it."
Can I respond?
You
mentally?
you feel that you have a response. You can send the text prompt is flashing.
Got it. You see dots.
40 characters.
I'm glad to know you're still in there. I think we have work to do. Bloody work. He
Zavir
looks down at the city.
Zavir just nods slowly. Then he turns his focus kind of back inwards, and you see that pale blue eye starts to pulse much more obviously, as it's clear that he is seeing something through it. So that arcane eye is moving through. It has like vision, dark vision.
Portents.
Through its eye, through that arcane eye, you see a dark hallway as it moves down. You see forms scurrying around. A Hokor is a large, maybe 8 foot tall. Picture almost like a bipedal snapping turtle, except those upper arms end in big hooks. It's sort of, long beaked head, but that chitin is sort of ridged plating on its back and on its like front. And they walk on 2 hands, but they sort of drag these long hook arms, and they tap those arms on their kind of chitinous plating in order to communicate with each other and in order to sort of echolocate. So they'll click, 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 and then use that to echolocate. So you see one of these things, just its silhouette, and then you see it. It doesn't see the eye. It doesn't perceive the eye, even with its echolocation. It's almost like it's bestial sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? Like instinct tells it that something is watching it, but it does that a few times and then it moves along. And then you see another. You know that they're communicating with these clicks. They're moving around in these side passages off of the main tunnel. They're gathering. They're eventually going to attack you, but not yet. Mechanically, I'll just say with your arcane eye, you guys will get a surprise round if they attack you, because you'll basically know they're about to attack you.
Mm-hmm. A ballpark idea of how many? Dozens, a handful,
Thousands.
Thousands. Give me a perception check.
I love back in the day when you
How about
roll
Arcana?
roll a 1 on perception, you'd just be like, there are hundreds.
Yep.
Yeah. You're surrounded.
How about perception with advantage?
Okay.
Because you're using the eye and it
I
has
also
all those
have-
extra vision modes.
I also have an immense perception bonus, right, with my
With your owl's wisdom right
enhanced
now.
ability. Yeah. So could I? I'm listening rather than
Go ahead,
watching.
you can roll.
Josh, nothing on Starlight switching to Throne.
Dirty 20.
Dirty 20. Okay.
21.
21. Devin, you know that there's several and that they're communicating. You don't understand their language. It's not really a language. They're not that. They're more primitive than that. It's more just like it's more like wolves howling. That's what you would equate it to. And you've heard pack hunters on the surface that will communicate and prepare. So you do gather that these things are sort of currently in the process of surrounding you.
Okay.
But like I said, it's more of an instinctual intelligence. Like they're not being like, you go over there and then flank and
Yep.
kill the caster first. But they're definitely preparing. but that's kind of what you get from it. Josh, you're in there. You
It's a
think
fourth
you
level
count
spell, homie.
Yeah, you think you count 6 of them.
A cool mechanical thing Xavier got as a divination wizard is when you cast higher level divination spells, you regain a lower ranked spell slot.
Cool.
Because divination spells are kind of like, eh.
While we're talking about it, you roll your portents.
I did. I
Yeah.
got a couple.
Okay.
I got a couple numbers. Azun says he kind of looks. It's funny. The creature almost, when it looks back at Xavier, when he's doing anything arcane, you can tell if you're looking closely, it's looking at his eye, the blue eye, and it looks back at you. And Azun says, "There are perhaps a half dozen. They are working to surround us, slowly preparing to attack. Hooked horrors.
Salai
You've
was
got a little bit of time. You know that.
They are moving slowly, deliberately.
Salai was trying to remember how to make those, to call that out in hand code, but you see her hand and she's just sort of clenching her fist and moving her fingers, and then she just sort of makes a fist and then relaxes it.
Silavar begins to stretch. How many?
The wizard counts 6.
There may be more coming from all sides.
After we are done with them, we have much to discuss. Our intentions, our goals. Yes, he kind of looks at each person in turn.
They are hunting creatures. A strong strike should drive the rest of them back.
Very well. Silavar starts casting.
What are you casting?
First thing he's going to cast is Armor of Agathis.
Cool.
She didn't cast as well.
The
Power up.
Mm-hmm.
What are you casting, Jidden?
He pulls out his rapier and casts Green Flame Blade.
Cool.
the dancing lights went out when the arcane eye went, so it's back to our normal pitch darkness, dark vision.
Jidden, you look around the room. You know, you tend to move around a lot when you fight. You tend to use your environment a lot more than most. And this place is in really rough shape. You look at the floor and you see that in some places there's loose tile that is about to fall through. And, you know, when it falls through, there's nothing below. There's the city far below. Even the walls are crumbling in places. And you know that, you know, this place has never been repaired, but it's been allowed to just sort of crumble. And you imagine that even on the streets below, occasionally pieces of rock must just fall from the sky. So just something to that you kind of mentally note.
Or I'd probably mention it. When they get here, watch your step. The floor is weak. Wouldn't want to see any of you fall. As he slowly slips back into the shadow.
Hook horrors are large. Keep them pinned at the door. You can deal with them one by one.
Xavier is standing on this kind of raised dais, and then without any verbal command, these four cloaked figures behind him move forward kind of quickly. Their cowls fall back. You see their skeletons dressed in chain. They sling their weapons, and the four of them form just a little semicircle around Xavier and pull out bows.
Josh went straight Diablo Necromancer.
Yeah. Summon build. It's good.
Yeah. I was like, oh, this would be a cool thing that will last one combat until fucking, obviously, they're fucking skeletons.
You hear the click, 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 click. And then you see movement in one of the passages. So one of these things lumbers past. You hear another passage on the opposite side, that clicking. And then all at once, from every direction, you hear it echoing off the walls. This kind of cacophony of tapping and clicking sounds. And then they rush in from every direction. And you're ready for them. You all sort of turn, your backs facing each other and that hole in the ground, and roll initiative.
Outstanding.
Bum, 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 bum.
Here we go.
It's funny. Anybody playing at home probably knows this. We don't, as Dan said, play higher level D&D much. And there's some crazy power that comes along with it, abilities and spells and kind of shit like that. But if you don't get magic items and get feats and boost your stats, I went from 5th to 12th level and I got kind of like a +1 in everything. My armor class is the same.
That's kind of one of my main complaints about D&D. It's always been that if you don't min max, you're at too big of a disadvantage.
Sure.
Yeah.
You're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
Severe is
I mean, don't get me wrong. It's fun.
I had because of 7 to 3 level spread, he only got 1 4th level bump up, and I had to use it to put a point into charisma to multi-class into warlock.
What do we got for initiatives, guys?
19 for Severe.
Rolled a
Can I have
20.
that black bag?
22.
Pretty low for Jid and 13.
10 for Salai.
A lie.
So also, side note, first game we were kind of worried that some of our names were too close.
Yeah.
So instead of
Silavar, Zavir, Salai.
Silavar and Salai, that's what you're going with?
It's of the god. They're the goddess saloon. It's
Perfect.
It's a long
Perfect.
line.
The
It's a
audience
long
will
line
love
of.
it. They won't be remotely annoyed or confused.
There's one nerd somewhere going, "Oh my god, it's a reference to the thing for the."
Just call her the Moon Maiden.
Cool. Got a nat 20 on the hookers, but you guys,
So,
thanks to that little level 4 spell, I'm going to give you guys the surprise. Even though they're rushing in, you're just ready and waiting for them. We're going to do something a little different. I was inspired to make combat more complicated and add an extra phase.
Cool.
We chatted about this a little bit. I think what we're going to do is at the beginning of every round of combat, I'm going to tell you guys an environmental hazard. And I'm going to make you make some sort of skill check or, save or something like that. And if you fail it, there will be a downside for that round. In lieu of making a check, I will allow any of you to expend a spell slot and describe to me narratively how you avoid the danger.
Okay.
This will be in addition to any, this won't stop you from casting a spell that turn or anything like that.
Cool.
This is just its own sort of phase. So the environmental hazard this turn is actually going to be the hook horrors. That clicking, that cacophony of clicking is just sort of like ringing your ears. And it's very sort of overwhelming as it echoes off of the walls. And I mean, it's super loud. There's 12 of these things and they're 8 feet tall each. So it's very fucking loud. So I want you all to give me wisdom saving throws. And if you fail, then you are going to, there's going to be 2 effects. You can't concentrate. You can't cast anything with concentrate.
Ouch.
And you're deafened. That'll be for the round.
22 on the save for
Good.
Zipper.
Rolled a 19, got a 24.
All right.
18.
All right.
18 as well.
Damn. We got good saves, I
Take
guess.
that. Hook horrors.
Good wisdom
It's one of my 2 good saves.
All right,
Me
cool.
too.
I just rolled a natural 18.
Yeah, I knew it. The rogue over there with the wisdom save. Salvar, you're up first.
Silavar kind of lightly runs across this cavern. And as he does so, his sword, the Dark Star, comes to his hand and he takes 2 cuts at this thing. As a bonus action, he's going to curse it.
Okay.
I rolled a 20 and a 1.
So
Pretty good.
a critical and a miss.
Yes.
All right.
Don't forget the house rule.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get attacked, right?
Yep. Give me your crit first.
Math. Sorry.
Did I give you something for your sword at the end of the last game?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a +2 sword with a +1d6 radiant.
Yep.
That is
Just laughing at myself because I'm about to say a classic D&D question. Are any of them in a line?
Yes, I texted that the other day. I knew it. I knew it was coming. That is 11, 41 points of damage.
41. Holy shit.
Not bad.
You come in and you swing at this thing, and your first swing is a little high, and that big hooked arm kind of comes around and hooks around your blade, and these things are extremely strong. It pulls that blade down, cling, and the tip of your blade hits the stone floor, and then the blade starts to sort of glow with that radiant energy, and you see it burning the big chitinous arm of this thing, and the thing pulls its arm back, and when it does that, it leaves its chest just open as it recoils that arm, and it lets out this scream of pain from that burn, and then you just bury the dark star right into this thing's chest. You feel it melt through the armored carapace of its chest, and you pull it out, and this green ichor, like almost insect-like ichor, comes out with it. And the thing stumbles backwards. It almost falls, but it doesn't. It's still alive.
Okay.
It did swing at you. That was part of that narration.
Got
but
it.
But it
Yeah,
missed. Yeah. Josh, Zavir, you want to know if they're in a line?
I was just asking for a friend.
You can get 2 by just moving, because they did kind of all come in different directions. I'll let you get 4 if you subject yourself to an attack of opportunity. Since we're not playing with a grid, kind of got to get creative about it, you know.
Zavir doesn't.
Or if you maybe have Misty Step or some shit like that. You wanna
Okay.
Burn, you know.
He does have that, so he'll do that. I was going to kind of use it narratively to show that Zavir is a little more risk adverse than he used to be.
Yeah.
So he'll just stay on the dais
Okay.
with the little skeletons around him, and he'll hit 2
Cool.
with a lightning bolt. So DC 15 reflex save.
Any 2 in particular? Like, are you trying to go for the one?
No, two
probably-
uninjured, probably.
Okay. They both failed.
That's going to be pretty solid. 37 lightning damage to both of them, and then my mighty vanguard looses
Severe of Ross and the Mighty Vanguard.
arrows.
The archers, the skeletons are archers.
Yes,
Awesome.
They
easier.
They have a bow
Just in
and
there
a
shooting.
short sword. So, does a 13 hit?
No.
Okay, then 1 hit with 22.
Yes. The other ones just bounce off that thick carapace.
One of the wounded one takes an extra 8.
Okay. That lightning crackles through 2 of them and then blasts a hole right through one of the walls of the temple, and then kind of just bounces down a hall. Then I know it doesn't bounce anymore. I'm old school.
Oh, that was great.
Good old days. And that's the first time we've seen that. That's some arcane magic right there from him.
It's classic arcane magic.
Jidden. What's Jidden doing?
Jidden is going to go back to some of those old tactics from youth, and he's going to go in on the hooked horror that Salivar attacked. He's going to take his flaming rapier. That's a natural 20.
Yep.
So that's, you double all dice, right?
Yes.
Okay, so that's 4d8. I need another d8 for green flame blade.
Jesus.
12d6 for crit. I need 5 more d6, please.
Wait, are you making fun of someone?
Yeah. No, he's actually
No, this
got all
is serious.
Oh, did I inspire you?
How does it feel? How does it feel, Jake?
little bit.
These sneak
how's it
attack
feel?
damage of a
Oh,
high
the
level
sneak
rogue.
attack damage. Yeah, that's insane.
I got d6. I need 2 more
I
d8.
got D8s.
DM tip: when the player when the player just was gonna kill it with any hit, just let him roll the dice.
Let him roll the dice.
Let him roll and see how.
Come on, I've never rolled this many before.
You weren't attacking an injured one with this?
Yeah. Because he wants the.
Yeah, you have the backstab because
Backstab.
he wants to
Yeah.
attack one that's engaged.
All right, well.
How many dice is it, though, before you roll?
6.
Next level, he won't need you. though.
12,
This is
No, that's true.
14,
this is,
16, 18 total dice.
He's rolling 18 dice.
we used to
Yeah,
talk
I'm gonna
about
need that.
when we used to play Star Wars back in the day, West End.
Yeah.
Like the Emperor, the punch bowl of
Darth
D6.
Vader lightsaber. Yeah.
All right.
I'll put in some fucking music here. Do 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 do. As Matt does a lot of math.
70 damage.
Plus
14.
whatever you're.
Yeah, plus 6, whatever. I don't care about that. 14, 18, 21 of that is fire damage. And then is there one within 5 feet of
Yes.
one? So it takes 11 plus.
It was a crit.
4.
Double that too.
Really?
All damage dice.
Yeah. Because if you crit with a
11,
Yeah.
14, 15, 21 fire damage to one within 5 feet. As that blade, basically, Jidden just crawls up onto the back of this thing, takes his rapier and slips it into the back of its neck, and its head erupts in fire. And as it does, it kind of like pops, and the flaming goo lands on one next to it, and Jidden just kind of like slides off the back of it.
oh, that doesn't kill it.
Oh, really?
Okay.
Oh,
no,
man.
I was going to
definitely,
say, that's
definitely kills
impressive.
it.
Slides off the back, and you just see him standing there in his stone mask across from you, Salivar.
They can live for 10 days without their head. You know that?
Awesome. Awesome. So how much, I'm just, because for the record, how much did you do to the 176?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Literally for the record of the podcast.
That's pretty good. Not bad for your first attack back in it.
Yeah.
Okay, that one's yours.
You can hold on to that tray. You're going to need it.
Yeah, thank you.
What's your name? What's your name again, Devin?
Salai. Moon Maiden Salai. Moon Maiden.
Moon Maiden.
Moon and Night.
Salai, no one will confuse it with Salivar. That's
Especially not me, the stoner.
super distinct.
I didn't pick the name. That was the dwarf's name that took me in.
You didn't pick the name, Devin?
That's a good. I like it.
Playing my character. Are there more? Are they all coming from one direction?
No, they all came in from different directions. One of them just got dispatched, so there's 5 left.
Okay.
There's 3 that have. There's 2 that have not been engaged at all. One that Jidden and Salivar are fighting now. The one that got the flame, the goo on
Secondary
his face.
flame.
Yeah, and then there's 2 that are kind of moving in that got hit with lightning.
Are there any that are close? I'm looking for ones close together. Talking maybe,
The two that got hit by lightning are close together.
and they're coming up towards Severe.
They seem to be looking at him now that he shot them with lightning.
Salai just sort of pushes off the ground and back and just floats in the air above that crack. And then she waves a hand and whispers a word. Everyone sort of hears it. It's just this weird muffled sort of wind passing your ears. But those 2 creatures hear something very disjarring. Give me a wisdom saving throw, please.
Well known.
I got a
wise creatures.
I got a 12 and an 11.
They both fail, and they're both confused.
Okay, what's that do?
At the beginning of their turn, you're going to roll a d10.
For the record, I knew what confused does. I got it right here on my sheet. I just no.
They get zapped, and then
Okay.
they
There's
hear
little
this thing.
Tweety birds around their head to indicate that they're confused. Cool.
That's it.
All right, for now,
Yeah.
epic. All right, I'm gonna write confused.
Thanks, Jake.
Well, and nothing happened yet.
No.
We'll see. But I wrote confused next to them. Back at the top of the round, these things have moved in. As I said, they're quite tall. They're super heavy. They're, heavily armored. And as a result, the floor tiles are just sort of crumbling around you. So the hazard this round is going to be that the floor is collapsing.
Floor is lava.
And avoiding that. So we're gonna do acrobatics checks.
Interesting.
I think I have advantage because I was an only child and I played the floor is lava a lot alone at home.
Okay.
We're looking for a 16. Devin, I'm going to say that where you are over that hole in the ground, what happens actually is because of that lightning bolt or these things just crashing in here, pieces of the ceiling are falling. Your acrobatics check is just to avoid that. I know you have a fly speed now.
I get hit.
So
What do you have a flight speed from? Do anything bad or?
Can I, I'm going to do it now. No. It's going to be short. It's going to be short. It's going to be short. The wind picks up underneath Salai's feet, and we flash back, and she's standing on top of that bell tower, and there is a service going on in the town square below her. The memorial service. There's a casket. The moon is out and it's bright, and it's Salai. And she's watching the congregation bring out the body of Moon Maiden Salai. There's another flash, and then you see a caravan leaving the town, and she's looking at it mournfully. And over the next few days, just the sky turns gray, and wind and rain and hail. And then soon there's this like zephyr that forms in the middle of the town. People scatter, and Salai is still standing atop. She has this look of just like anger and grief. And then she just snaps out of it as this whipping wind is just taking form and destroying like stuff in the town. And she rushes down the bell tower. Now she's back. That ring on her hand crackles with energy.
Just to interpret that for the audience, this is when Devin took the only legendary magic item as he looked at the only copy of the Dungeon Master's Guide.
I looked at it online.
And said, if you kill
if we're throwing shade, I'll just point out that in exchange, Josh got the story-driven item that I invented simply to progress the story that Devin was supposed to have, but Josh convinced him that he could have.
Love it.
I'm not a
Which
priestess
is
anymore.
probably broken because it's not even a real thing. I just made it up.
Druids can summon elementals.
We know.
I'm
5th level
asking
spell.
for a friend.
I didn't mean to do it.
If you fail your acrobatics roll, do you just die? Do you fall to your death?
You might fall.
Okay.
You might fall.
Okay.
Yeah, that could be the thing that happens.
Like if you're over the hole hovering for
we determine this
example.
on our individual turns or all at once as like the phase happens.
Let's do it on our individual turns. What do you think?
Okay.
Yeah,
Sure.
Yeah, I like that. That's good.
simultaneous action.
I hope everyone uses up their possible spells that could save me from falling to my death.
So yeah, save that result and let me know when we get to your turn.
Got it.
And we can use the spell slot instead.
Correct. Dan,
Yes.
you're first.
Okay.
How'd you do in your acrobatics check?
I rolled an 8 for a glorious 10.
A 10. That's a fail.
Yes.
You were squaring off right next to Jin with a hook horror. The floor starts to break apart below this hook horror. It looks down just in time to see a tile spin and fall into the darkness below, into the fairy fire lit streets of Narbondelin, the district below you. And right before it falls, it swipes out at you, almost trying to grab you with those hooks. And you manage to dodge out of the way of that hook. But then you, as you jump to the side, the tile that was there is suddenly gone and your feet slip.
I am going to expend a spell slot.
What are you going to do?
It is a desperate version of Blink. And I am going to cast Blink on myself and kind of for a moment kind of almost freeze time as I disappear to the ethereal plane and then reappear within that 10-foot kind of radius that it has.
Okay.
To secure footing.
Awesome.
Yep.
You literally blink out of existence and then reappear. this thing crashes through the floor, but it doesn't fall all the way. Its upper body is so bulky, it sort of hits these beams that are in the floor, these supports. So it's like at waist level now, like half falling. Like if you could see below, you'd see its feet just dangling and like looking for a foothold. And it can't really use its claws. Its claws are kind of stuck on the floor, holding it from falling all the way through. But it's snapping at you with that jaw.
Okay.
It's your turn.
I will take 2 attacks. Another crit.
Not
Jesus.
level 12.
And another hit.
Do we still have that music for counting dice?
It won't be tons.
That's the thing about the higher level. The higher level it gets, the slower the
I've rolled
rounds
2.
go.
Like I've rolled more
it's
20s
fine.
than
It is
yeah.
what it is. It's fine. You just need 6 sets of dice.
Yeah.
Jake bought 6 sets of dice, by the way.
Don't forget to carry the 2.
That really fucked me up. Oh, man. Let's see. 10, 20, 25 plus 49.
49.
Yep.
How do you kill it?
He takes 2 quick swipes, very kind of clean and precise. Each arm comes off as it slides through.
Nice. Awesome. Zavir, how'd you do in your roll?
I just used a spell slot
Okay.
instead, which I was going to say broke his concentration, but he actually, I guess he still had the arcane eye. So that breaks as he kind of just looks internally through his spell scarred eye and mentally directs the skeletons around him and himself, kind of just getting foreshadowing of where these Hakaras are going to move.
Very cool. You get this kind of flash, this vision of the entire, of something above the altar. That statue, that sort of faceless, formless statue of a dark elf crashing down on the altar. And you and your minions kind of move to the side, and it comes crashing down through the altar, through the floor, and just spins into the darkness, into the city below.
Nice. And Zavir with that saw a Hokar coming towards him. So as the skeletons move, they drop their bows, draw their blades, and Zavir will just ready in action to cast a spell at a Hokar that approaches them.
Waiting until it gets into like
Yep.
touch range.
Yep.
Okay. And what about the skeletons?
They're doing the same thing. They're going to ready in action.
Oh,
to,
cool. With bows. I mean, with their swords.
Yeah.
All right. They're actually next. So, these 2 that you had struck with lightning, they make their way around that hole where the altar was, kind of around each side, and they come in on you. One of them goes towards your 3 skeletons. The other one, because it came around the other way, is coming directly towards you.
Okay. 4 skeletons.
4.
Jake,
Yes.
they're confused.
You're right. What does that mean?
Roll a d10.
One
for each of
separately?
them. Yep.
All right. The one that was going to go after the skeletons got a 6.
It does not move or take actions. It is confused.
Okay. And the one that was going to go after Zavir got a 6 as well.
They both like look at each other and like tap on the ground.
It's almost like because the floor right in front of them fell away, it's like it's a pathing issue. They can't figure out like go around, you know? So they just sort of stand there. Thanks. You just ruined Zavir's turn. You ready in action for them to approach.
Zavir curses under his breath.
He doesn't do that anymore. He doesn't breath anymore. He does seem surprised, like in a way, the audience perspective, realizing that despite his insights for the future, not all things are
That's actually
predetermined.
very cool.
Nice. Jidden.
Are there any engaged with allies?
No. Oh wait, I'm sorry. There's 2 more that didn't go. I forgot about them. So they will be engaged with allies.
Perfect.
And I sort of said they just came in from every direction. So I'm just gonna roll. I'm gonna roll D4 for each of them and to see who is like the closest, most viable target. See who they go after. I rolled 2 3s. So they're both going after Salivar.
Perfection.
So actually,
Mercenary captain
they're kind of
Silavar.
coming right towards you. Silavar, the Dark Star kind of like the blade is all shattered and glows, right?
Yep.
That might be drawing their attention.
Okay.
It's not a lot of light in the Underdark.
Sure.
You know? And that glowing blade definitely gets their attention. And these two things, they move pretty fast for their size, and they kind of rush in on you with these big hooked arms, and they just start swinging wildly.
Actually, technically, hookers have no vision. They echolocate only.
Armor class, please.
16.
2 hits.
Okay. I just need the damage separately.
Okay. 13
Okay.
and 10.
All right. So they both take 25 points of cold damage from the armor.
25
Nice.
each?
Yep.
Oh, because it's higher level now.
Yep.
Ooh.
And it was 13 and 10.
Still have some
Yep.
left.
I got 2 points left.
What does that look like?
I think as they sort of hurl their long limbs at him, and it looks as though they are going to kind of just completely bludgeon him, but instead they almost bounce off or glance off this bright kind of flash of blue that completely covers his entire body as it kind of deflects these hits. And as they're kind of those hooks swing by, you can see that frost has been climbing up them towards their arms, towards their torso.
Nice. Salivar is secretly the party tank. We were talking about who's the tank. He's got pretty low hit points, but all those temporary hit points and stuff. Jidden, you're now engaged because you were next to Salivar, and these two
thought I'd
just
get married.
attacked.
Mazel tov.
So yeah, these two hookers come in. They start swinging at him, and you see that what as he described.
No, you're engaged, and he's a widower. So go for it.
That's how the family works sometimes.
It's terrible.
Can't keep it in the pants, keep it in the family.
So I rolled an 18 on my check, so that's like a 27.
You're good.
So it's almost like with Jidden's acrobatic skill, for those watching, it's like you see these tiles sliding out from underneath him on the floor, but it almost looks like he's floating. He's using them to like progress across as they fall, as he makes his way to one of these attacking
Legolas has a shield, and Jidden's got
floor tiles.
Floor tiles.
That is a
I love watching people reference stuff.
19 to hit.
Got him.
Dice tray.
Oh, I'm not used to a dice tray. That's sneak attack. That's regular. 23 points of piercing damage, as well as 7 points of fire damage to one. And the second one, within 5 feet, takes
Reference the field notes.
22 points of fire
Holy
damage to the
shit.
second.
Those
Yeah,
max
I was
on those max on 2d8.
Doesn't the other one take another +6 from your...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
36
6 to the piercing.
Yeah.
For the first one.
Dang.
Are either of them still up?
You kill the first one. How does that happen?
Almost exactly the same as the first. As the tiles float away, Jidden steps off of one, reaches out, grabs onto the back of one of these things, and just slowly inserts his rapier into the back of its neck as it flames, and just pop, flame erupts onto the one next to it.
Fire and ice. Brothers.
Nice.
Blades of glory.
Devin, how did Salai do with the acrobatics check?
So I got a 9.
Okay. So as I said, because you're kind of floating, you're above the center there. Yours is a little different. You see the floor falling apart. You know that you're fine. You don't even notice the pieces of ceiling that fall, and you take 2d8 damage.
Well, instead of a spell slot,
Oh,
I was wondering if I could use I can use 2 charges of my wild shape to do to sort of mitigate this.
how many charges do you get?
I have 2 total on a short rest.
That's all you get. It's 2.
Yep.
Oh, okay. I'll short rest. I'll let you use one, just one. Yeah.
what I need to do
Oh,
to do what I want to do.
Okay.
It requires
What-
to. So what we see is that she has very high perception, and she doesn't see the things falling, but she hears them. And at the sort of last moment, the rocks fall, and it looks like she gets taken down through that hole directly beneath her. But moments after that, that hole in the floor where those two confused hook horrors are standing, there's just a barrage of like rocks and debris that just burst up from underneath from that hole, and then air starts to swirl around them violently. I use 2 charges of my wild shape. 10th level, I can take on the form of an elemental. So
Okay.
as an air
Wowza.
elemental, I
Full circle.
make 2 slam attacks. Listen, I thought about this now. If someone else had the ring of air elemental command, they could literally dominate me in my form.
You're into that though.
Not too late.
No, and I'm going to attack each of them once.
I think you gave it to
The
Laurel
confused ones?
a little bit.
Yep.
Okay.
I got a 10 and I got a 13.
Ooh, misses.
Okay. But just a spray of rocks and now violent air swirls
Cool.
around them.
Big misses.
Those are big. Should have just rolled a crit like everyone else.
Yeah.
As we'll say, Salvar, as you cut this thing's arms off and watch it tumble down, you look to your left, you look to your right, and you see that the floor is crumbling. This room does not have long. These things are so heavy. All of them being in here has just ruined this part of the upper reaches.
Salai's gone.
You don't, you have to get out of this room immediately. So give me, you guys are going to get your choice of perception to kind of pick out a good path,
Okay.
or acrobatics again. But what we'll do is we'll do this at the end of each of your turns.
Okay.
So, I guess we can roll out at the end of your turns.
Okay.
But yeah, getting out of here is not it. You have to, unless you can fly.
Sure.
Yeah. So top of the round is Salvar.
There is one next to me.
Yes. Yeah. Jin just took out one of the 2 that charged at you. And the other one is in pretty rough shape.
Okay. I'll take 2 swings at the one in front of me. 2 hits. The 26, 25.
Add 25.
No.
Is that what you said?
25 hits.
Oh, yeah. Dramatic.
47.
Holy shit.
Final answer.
Before I describe what happened, give me that check. That either
Sure.
what did I say? Perception or
Acrobatics.
acrobatics.
He'll do perception.
Okay, we're looking for a 16.
Got it.
Pretty low because the downside's pretty big.
I got a 17.
You kill this
Rolled a
thing.
16.
So tell me how you kill it and then exit the room.
His cuts now are, there's really not much flair to it. It's very precise, practical, and he takes one hard stab through its kind of torso, and then another that cuts it at the leg in case it wasn't going to die, so it couldn't follow him, as he kind of already is taking these jogging steps away from it, kind of watching it, making sure that it's not going to attack him. And he makes 2 signs, one to his brother saying, flee, and then another to Zavir saying, the floor is unstable, in Drow hand code.
Cool. Zavir, that's to you, actually.
Okay. How many of these things are left?
There's 3. No, there's 2 now. They were both trying to come at you, but they got confused.
Zavir is kind of like, he's a little confused himself. He's been on his own for a long time, and he's learning that the more variables you add, maybe the less he is sure of his vision. So At this point, picking up what the signal that came from Salivar, he just makes his way towards the edge of the cavern. He's actually going to use one of his portents rolls for a 16.
Perfect.
And you see the skeletons just soundlessly move into a single file. 2 in the front, Zavir, 2 in the back. And they just wind this kind of weird serpentine.
Crazy route that is just so precise.
Yep.
yeah.
Just to the edge of the cavern and then kind of turn back defensively.
Awesome.
I like that it looks like it's probably like kind of jumbled or wrong.
Yeah.
Yet the portents. It's cool.
Confused. Do I roll again?
They should actually, at the end of their turn, give them another save.
Wisdom?
Wisdom.
Does 15 make it?
No.
Okay. They both fail then.
1d10.
Would you give them one for a last turn?
At the end of their turns. So they've only had
one of
one.
them got a 6 again. The other one got an 8.
6 doesn't do anything. 8, the creature uses its action to make a melee attack against a randomly determined creature within its reach. There's
Okay.
no creature within its reach. It does nothing.
It attacks the other hooker, which then
Amazing.
attacks it. They start attacking each other. As they're attacking each other, the floor gives out, but they like crash into each other like fucking giant herd animals do. And as they do that, the floor just gives out and they both fall. Jidden, there's no more hookers.
Yeah. Jidden is just going to start making his way towards safety. Acrobatics. Ooh. Well, not the greatest, but so I rolled a 4. I have an 8, and that's 12, but I have reliable talent as a rogue. So any check I make that I can add my proficiency bonus, I can treat it as a 10, so that's actually a 19.
Holy shit. Power. Awesome. So Jidden assured, you're very sure of yourself and of your footing as you kind of balance across some of the support beams that are left, hop from one onto another, and then make your way to the more stable tunnel where Salivar is standing.
He makes it look very casual.
Yeah. A moment. Yeah, exactly. Like with that ability, I imagine like it's just second nature to you.
Yeah.
And then as the two of you are standing there, Zavir carefully kind of makes the serpentine path with his skeletons, and the 5 of them get to the tunnel.
I watch as each skeleton passes.
And then what happens with the wind? I'm not making, you don't have to roll.
I'm going to use perception because I want to be following. I still have to see.
Okay.
So I need to find the way out and find my companions. 21.
Okay. So you're all standing at this doorway that did lead into this temple. The temple is gone. The entire thing has collapsed except for a few support beams that still span the length of where the floor was. Below you, the city. Far below, in Narbondellen, the fancy district, we see a group of young, maybe 40 years old, young drow in fancy noble wear, making their way down the street, laughing, having a good time.
Very rare in Menzoberranzan, just a bright spot of humanity.
And they stop. They're looking in a shop window at some spider silk dress as a pair of hookers smash into the ground in front of them. And there you guys are. So you're in this tunnel.
Salivar says,
Let's say you make your way away from there because it's a little unstable to a side room.
we must move quickly. Anyone that inspects the wounds may see blades, not just the fall.
They'll send a patrol soon.
Agreed.
There's a wind. So Salaya's not there, but there's a wind that's sort of just hovering about you. It's just billowing your cloaks and the tails of your coats.
I think Salivar has had enough encounters.
You knew what happened. that
Yep.
there was, storms over Lorel. That's how she got her title, from accidentally summoning the creature and then destroying it. It's a secret that not many people know.
He kind of carries on without acknowledging that you're not there in form. We must find a place that we can discuss what is to come. He looks at Zephyr when he says this, and then back to his brother. We must plan our entrance into Menzo. I must find my children.
Yes, planning. The wizard has something perhaps he can do to help for once.
Is that why you came back, brother? Your spawn?
They are somewhere in the city. They are looking for answers that they will not find.
To what?
What has happened to their mother, my wife?
They think it's here.
Someone or something convinced them. She died peacefully, but the passage of her soul has been obstructed, stolen, and someone pointed them here for answers. I need to find them, and I need to find that someone.
Josh, did you pick up any more languages on your travels by any chance?
Mechanically, no,
Okay.
but he has tongues.
Zephyr, the wind in the room, it's...
Oh, Oren.
Yes. There's like this echo that is almost melodic, that this wind blows. And if you can understand it, it just says, "There is darkness in Menzoberranzan. It climbs from the dip. It climbs from the depths."
He doesn't currently have it up, but I would assume he's been exposed to enough languages to know that it is
A language.
the language of Oren that
very-
you're speaking.
Grim omens it brings. It's a dreadful wind. That sound, it's almost howling.
Azun kind of cocks his head back at Severe and says,
The wizard is impressed. He realizes his former companion, Savakine. She has mastered the ring that she once claimed.
Salivar kind of narrows his eyes and trying to remember, but shrugs. What of it?
He was right. You are all extremely capable. You will serve us well as companions. The wizard has something he wishes to offer to you. If you would like to, in exchange, disclose what goals you seek here in the city.
You know mine. I am here for my children and those that would lead them astray.
The wind dies down. Your coats sort of fall at your feet. And then Salai, walks out of the darkness. And she's holding that pendant again. Something crawls from below. Something vile. If it threatens my garden of moonlight, I will do everything I can to stop it here. Silavar, the taking of his wife's soul. It's not a coincidence, it's a pattern. Things are stirring in the Underdark. The destruction of Ched Nasad, the fall of Menzoberranzan, the claiming of souls by fiends.
Did you say his wife's whole? Very rude.
I look at this little thing.
he doesn't say that, sorry.
Another spell crosses my lips.
Boy's hole?
No, the troll toll.
Uh,
Sounds like you're saying boy's hole.
Foul magics fester in Menzoberranzan. I seek to find them out.
I will speak to him, creature. And in Drow hand code, Jidden just starts firing off. I am here to make sure that my mother never rises again. And that this city burns to the ground for everything it has done.
You see Xavier. I'm sorry. You see Azun look to you and look back to Xavier, kind of like expectantly looking back and forth. And instead, Xavier just raises a finger to you, and you hear in your mind Xavier's voice, "I will help you in any way if I can."
When your voice enters his mind, you see a physical like reaction from him. He like flinches at another voice inside of his head.
Getting crowded in there.
Yeah. Wasn't expecting that one.
The Azun looks aggravated to be left out of the conversation. And instead it hops into the center of, you guys are kind of standing around in a circle, and it says,
Well, wizard, they've told you what you can. Are you ready to show them what you can offer?
Xavier reaches out a hand, puts his palm up. The little imp reaches forward, and it takes its black claws. It runs it across Xavier's palm, drawing a line of blood. Xavier starts tracing a circle in the center of the four of you. The imp sits back on its haunches just outside the circle. A string of arcane words. Anyone that knows Infernal hears infernal words being mixed in. It is clear that a summoning is about to take place.
Sabrikine is now detecting magic. She feels it buzzing all around her.
Anyone with arcane, knows he's drawing a summoning circle that a creature, a devil in particular, will be bound inside of. And it takes some time. And he goes through this ritual. Xavier making the motions, drawing with the blood, Azun mouthing all the words of the arcane. And then you see Xavier runs his satchel in front of him, pulls it out, and you see he half pulls out this half of a clearly old and extremely valuable leather tome.
Is it magical?
It is very magical. The inks are metallic, ornate, the calligraphy extremely detailed, but the book is very damaged. He has half of it, and much of the pages are tattered. But he runs his fingers across one, and as the ritual concludes, Azun touches the edge of the circle, and an Infernal says,
Istrith Tilgriath, I call you forth.
a little pale smoke kind of billows, and almost like over a bonfire, sparks kind of form, and suddenly a small shape in the center of it starts to coalesce. The silhouette, the smoke kind of fades. You smell brimstone, burnt sulfur. And as the smoke fades, you all recognize the form of Pitrix, the imp of House Duskren.
There you are.
It looks around at all of you, looks at Xavier, who just summoned it. No. Cursed drow, I thought I was done with your kind.
Where have you been hiding?
Pitronix de Carnoth.
Where is she?
I use the spell. I clutch the pendant and cast protection from evil.
You just ruined his day so bad.
He looks at both Duskrens and he says, the answer to both of your questions is the same. The 9 hells.
Azun leans forward, his feet gingerly just millimeters from the edge of the circle. It cocks his head, clearly taunting this other creature.
It tests the circle, kind of tries to step out of it, tries to push out of it. Each time it seems repelled.
The first time it pulses forward, Xavier is sitting cross-legged. No. And he stands upright and leans forward, and you see his visage, already jarring enough as it is, suddenly becomes even more twisted. this horrific caricature, like something out of a nightmare. It leans forward, and Azun voices,
Istrith till the death. Istrith till the death. You will obey.
he kind of, the imp kind of shakes his head, looks back at Zavir, says,
You will tell us when and how will they leave that place and come back. We know your name. You are bound, lest you wish 100 years.
He looks at the Duskrins and he says, Your mother, she made a deal.
Of what nature?
She knew her house would be destroyed for its failure. And so she made a deal. 100 years of service. And then they return. You may find that they're quite different. 100 years in hell will do that.
Can they be stopped?
You can tell by his expression that it pains him not to immediately answer, like physically pains him. But instead of answering you, he says, I see them, you know. We work together, one could say. They're very excited to come back and find you, Salavar. You too, Jidden. Your mother, she blames you. Blames your failure. They can be stopped, but they won't be. They will return, and they will have their revenge, and they will have this city.
Good. So will I.
We see what happens here. This place has grown weak. House Duskrin will rule.
Is that what you want, Petrix, to be in service once again?
I'd hoped I'd be done with this place.
Then why don't you tell us? Tell us how we can stop them. What flaws do they have in their plan? Salavar's kind of walking slowly around the circle as well, remembering this creature that he hasn't seen now for 100 years.
Salai looks at you as you pass by. Their weakness is that they are still there. The fiends, if destroyed on their home plane, are destroyed forever. If this creature speaks truth, and they have changed.
She's right. You kill them there, they will stay dead. Or let them come. Kill them. Every 100 years. Make a game of it.
Azun looks back towards Zavir and quickly scurries over. Zavir is sitting cross-legged. The imp kind of runs to him, puts its little clawed front hands up on his knee and leans close, looking into that blue eye, which is pulsing fast. Says,
Very low. The light of Narbadol. At the bottom. How many cycles? Cycles. How many cycles?
it looks back towards Pitrix.
How many cycles? Istrith, how many cycles till they come back?
Doing some quick math.
Remember in Deepwater, they had like a clock? It's great.
310.
Doing some quick math. What does that mean?
That's 310 days.
310 days? Okay.
310 days at a like specific spot on Narmadel clock.
Got
the
it.
moment they will come back.
At the black of Narbandel.
Just going to put that on my calendar.
That's dramatic. Part 2 will probably end before then, right? Jake?
Every episode now starts with like D minus.
Like the 24-hour.
There are surface wards. Priests of the surface. They have ways of stopping us from coming here.
Pitrix tries to look over at Salai, but he has it pains him to look at her, and he turns his head.
He does look at you, and you can tell it kind of hurts, but he's looking at, are you like holding up that medallion? You said you cast.
So when Pitrix appeared, I pulled my hood down, revealing my silver hair with a dwarvish braid sort of tied into it, and laid the amulet over my over my chest. It's visible on her chest.
Yeah, he's looking at you like as if he's looking into the sun. And then he kind of turns away and he says, "There are none strong enough to stand against what House Duskrin has become and the allies that they have made." Who looks at Salivar when it says that.
Grim looks all around at Salivar.
Infernal allies.
One that is looking forward to returning for you.
The fiend. The one we felled. Here in the temple.
I've met your wife.
Azun looks back towards you.
Salivar, when he says that, Jake, what kind of... I want to make a roll here. I'm not sure what it is.
Maybe a wisdom saving throw?
Sure. That works. Rolled a 2. That's a 7.
There are few creatures more loathed by both my kind and the drow than what she is.
He is swinging his sword at Pitrix now. I don't know what that means.
So you swing your sword at Pitrix and you take his head off and he vanishes. The rest of you who aren't as mad realize that that's probably what he was trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
As it happens, Azun is like frantic, runs to the edge of the summoning circle, says,
Ildred Tilgeth, your name, you are bound. What you've seen, heard, thought, must not be spoken. You are bound. Be bound.
and then it looks angrily up at you.
Salivar's breathing kind of heavily, standing in the now broken circle.
Zoom is just like your IT guy who like does all the.
Zavir kind of like, you see him kind of like shake his head clear, like his concentration was broken unexpectedly, and he kind of rises to his feet.
Salivar kind of spins suddenly, looking down at the imp this time at Azun. How do we get to the 9 hells?
Let's stop there.
What? We're gonna be in? We just saw this through a fucking skylight, and we're gonna leave and go to the 9 hells? God damn it!
You've got 310 days
To figure it out.
You don't have to go to the 9 hells. You don't have to go to the 9 hells. Thank you for listening to A Tangled Web. Please, if you have time, tell a friend, write us a review, or, just go out and shout it on the rooftops. Check out all of our different social media platforms. You can go to our website and find links at the bottom. There's probably also links on whatever you're listening to right now. That's nastygramrpg.com, and definitely check out the socials because I tend to put little things on there to help with NPCs and visual aids and whatnot. Our intro music was by A Wilhelm Scream. Theme song is Oath by Adrian von Ziegler. All scores by Adrian von Ziegler and Antti Marttikainen. Thanks for listening.
That's nasty.
You don't have to go to the 9 hells, and you don't have to go today.
But what if 50% of us want to go to the 9 hells? How does a Zoom get a vote?
So, Josh,
or?
before you stop the recording, just because for posterity, this might be better to have on record. I did want to talk to you guys a little bit about this part of the game, and I do want it to be a lot more sandboxy.
Sure.
Kind of the reason I wanted to introduce it with a description of the different districts and stuff. You've got sort of a thing that's going to happen on a timeline, and I want the rest. And obviously there are factions that might ally themselves with you, might see it as an opportunity to ally themselves with House Duskrin. But I want to really leave the ball in you guys in your court as far as how you're dealing with this and what you're going to do. So I'd like to kind of wrap each session with a little here's what we're planning on doing next. Yeah.
Cool.
And really more than usual, try to kind of keep it up to you guys to give me an idea of what you're doing.
Okay.
So my first thought is probably establish a place where you can stay
Yeah.
in the city.
And Jin, you still have an identity here?
He probably can assume one.
Brigandarth, even though they've relocated, I'm sure they still have ties. And
They do. I don't want, I kind of talked to Matt about this. I don't want like you guys to have like a bunch of NPCs that can kind of just like keep you safe and do
Sure.
shit for you.
Right.
Which is one of the reasons I wanted to be like, Brigandarth is pretty much pulled out. But I mean, as far as like, if you wanted to like sort of establish some sort of safe house, we can do that off screen.
It could
too.
be a pre-existing, like one that Brigandarth had but no longer uses.
Yeah, or I mean, you could like stay up here, find like a abandoned fucking stalactite and
Salah used to
her up.
Live up
spend
here,
a lot
right?
of time up here. Yeah.
Or you could go down into the city and literally get like a fucking fortress.
And I'm
like,
assuming like gold pieces, like these guys could have just like bags of gems.
Probably
to
We
some extent.
established I'm rich as fuck. And I don't spend money.
So
So,
Salvar and Jidden probably have the most money. Druids don't tend to keep a lot of money. I don't know if you really.
I'm rich in other ways.
And Zavir just has lots of
Magic.
trauma points.
I have so much inner peace compared to everyone else.
Yeah, but I think between Jidden and Salvar,
You
like,
didn't lose any of that when you murdered that arrow.
I don't want to say you have all the money you need, but like at least for establishing like a sort of HQ, I think it'd be cool to like have like a HQ and for you guys to kind of tell me what is it like, where is it, and everything.
Maybe we'll look at Menzo, the city.
Yeah, you don't have
a little
to.
bit.
I mean, you don't have to tell me right now, but maybe we can like at the beginning of next
Sure.
session we can talk about
Suss
where you
that
guys are and what it
Okay.
looks like and everything.
What if we declared a new house?
That might be some undue attention.
Yeah. So what are you guys thinking like out of character would be like your kind of first moves being back in the city?
I think like Saliver was just saying, how do we get to the Nine Hells is dramatic.
Of course. And I mean that could be a thing, but it doesn't have to be next week.
right. Well, I think, did you actually reveal, so you revealed kind of like the information that you had, but did you reveal any other purpose for coming to the city?
So the Azun kind of made fun of Zavir and that he doesn't know why he's here.
That's right.
What will become clear is that like what Zavir will tell you forthrightly is that he knows he has a purpose here that will serve him, and that he knows his path lies with you. He knows he can help you, and you can help him.
Are we keeping
Whether or not you trust him.
Are we keeping the rest kind of close to the cuff as far as like because Zavir really kind of has two?
Yeah, I mean,
keep that.
Sure.
I'll tell you guys as players. So, Zavir's personal goal is he is very much in this trapped fucking relationship
Yep.
To his patron. He's seeking a way out of it. He's very limited in that because a lot of his power is dependent through her. His familiar is more loyal to her than to him in some ways. I mean, it is like literally mechanically bound to him, but
Sure.
it is serving her. So the only things that, he's keeping secrets like internally.
A lot probably from a Zoom of most of anyone. Like
Yes.
he doesn't want to communicate any of
They
those
can
things
communicate
through him.
telepathically, but the imp can't read his mind. Alita can't read his mind. So what's internal is internal. So he can also, use message to communicate limited to each of you. So he's going to try to earn your trust,
And then write you a long letter.
but it's also, it's a weird thing. Like you guys probably don't trust Zavir from the past. It's a real weird situation, and it's a very vague thing that he's trying to communicate to you because he's not going to spell it out completely.
I mean, and we're all picking up that there
But
are
that's
mixed
cool
loyalties.
because I like the idea of them sort of figuring it out eventually. Maybe like
yeah.
I think if you wanted help, Jidden would be Jin doesn't like your fucking. He's not going to speak to a Zoom. Like he's going to use Drow hand code. Like he's going to leave him the fuck out of it as best he can. So like, could be an ally in like helping you out because he doesn't give a shit about most else. Like it'd be another favor you owe him. So it'd just be like a tally in his book for him.
So and he does. You've obviously the fact that like he knew you were coming there. It is clear he has some powers of divination, but they're not guaranteed,
Flawless,
as you saw like in the fight.
And I can't get him the answers he wants.
So he has things he can offer. Also, he knew Pitrix's real name, and you saw that he has more of that.
Mm-hmm.
So if it does end up dealing with the Hells, which obviously a lot of this will, he definitely has tangible things to offer to help, but he's really relying on you guys, all three of you, to steer what the goal is, because he doesn't, except internally in a vague way, know exactly what to do. So he's definitely going to try to do some research. He's going to learn more about the Hells and how to, he probably knows some of that already, but literally how to, if we had to transport glyphs and wards and threats and
so
that kind of shit.
That could be
Tuning fork.
what could be a really cool fucking game is you guys basically trying to break into the mage school. Because like, as far as if you want to research, like any fucking information you need would be in that place.
Yep.
That sounds fun.
But you're not, I mean, you guys, you're not just allowed in there.
Right.
It could, and maybe it might not even be the mage school. Maybe it's a house that has particular ties,
Or
because
like a high, like a
mage school,
high level wizard.
right?
Yeah.
The mage school might be pretty well protected, and it's a big target.
But there's also a lot of people coming in and out of it all the time.
True.
So
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like it's a houses where
Right.
it's,
You're breaking in and you're an immediate
it's a
interloper.
communal thing.
right. Yeah. Like, yeah, there's it's literally like a college. So maybe because of that, a little easier than Archmage's house, who like, we just kill anyone who walks in the door.
Right.
Do you know, I think this would be cool. Is we have to go to the charred ruins of House Duskren
That's fucking cool.
and look for. So I'm going to eventually, I will have access to a spell called Plane Shift. And if we were to find perhaps a magic circle that is tied to hell, I could use that glyph to teleport to a corresponding place in the hells. So if Duskren communicated with them and like had like a carved rune or something in the compound, we have to find it, discern it,
That's
and
cool.
then use it to teleport.
Salivar also has Gate Seal as one of his
Cool.
you and only spells.
And Zavir has this ring of keys that he hasn't revealed to you, but you guys saw in
That's true.
cutscene, which I don't even know where they
How
all
it
lead,
works, but
I know they lead to different locations.
What you know, because Alita's a bitch and doesn't just tell you, you know because you used it, that one of them goes to the high forest. That's where you ended up.
Okay.
And you know that one of them goes to Menzo because you used that one to get here.
Okay. So I've used 2.
Yep.
Sick.
Awesome.
And basically the way it works is you open the door, you put the key in a lock, and when you open that door, it's a portal, and it closes once you go through.
Awesome.
Where does the one in Menzo lead specifically?
Let me think about that.
Okay. I'm starting a list of
Keys.
fiend real names and key locations.
Fast travel locations that are unlocked.
So basically, Zavir is like a full-on support character, almost an NPC in the sense of like he's not driving anything because he doesn't even know what his goal is.
At least immediately.
Right. For now.
Until
he's here to facilitate
that-
knowing that you are going to get him towards his goal.
Any other ideas for like next session? Next 2 like episodes, basically.
Visit to House Vandry, Matron Shara.
You're going to go see her openly?
I'm going to sneak in. The only person who's going to know I'm there is Matron Shara. And I'm going to talk to her on different terms than we talked last time.
That might be like
Cutscene?
we could even do that as a cutscene.
Okay.
Yeah. Since it only involves your character,
Sure.
I'm not going to like make you roll a bunch of shit, you know. But it is a cool scene. But
I think
figure out where to fit it in.
I think for Salivar, obviously the immediacy is his children and the soul of his wife.
Yeah.
I think what's going to unfold is his patrons' involvement in what's going on, and that will bring part of like that the first cutscene I did in the interlude.
Do you remember what your patron said to you in the mountains?
Vaguely.
No one listened. That episode dropped today.
Oh no, yeah, I haven't listened to it yet.
I listened.
What did he say?
I'm not giving you any fucking hints.
Yeah, you don't know either.
I edited that episode.
I did listen, but I don't remember.
I remember him. We were talking about different
He
things.
said something along the lines of you will watch the downfall of Menzoberranzan.
Menzoberranzan.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think
That's what he wants.
Yeah, that interplay is going to happen because he had distanced himself from his patron while he was living on the surface, and now I think we'll start to see more of that. So, those are sort of the pieces in play for him, and I guess to that end, he's going to focus or want to focus on finding the kids in Menzo and getting them out of there.
That's
And
a good way to move us around the city too.
Yep.
The search for the
begin
children.
searching for the children.
Cool.
And then trying to understand the situation with his house and his wife.
I think the only thing Zavir will drive, Zavir is much more deliberate and controlled than you remember him. So, like getting a safe house, playing it safe, not rushing into anything. But then the first thing that he would be motivated to would be to get into Sorcerer.
Somewhere. Yeah, Sorcerer.
Sorcerer.
Yeah.
So we have safe house, searching for the kids, Sorcerer, and then possibly a cutscene with your house
And going to the ruins
and
of
going
House
to the
Duskman.
ruins.
House Duskern. And then probably also just general pace of life on Menzo, like getting reacquainted. We haven't been in the city.
Information gathering.
Yeah.
I, mean,
Just
I
in
think
general.
that's what Jidden would be.
Yeah.
He would be like getting the temperature of the
Like
city.
what's going on? What houses are up? What houses
Which
are down?
you've actually been doing
Yeah.
for years. I mean, that how we started that cutscene was you giving info on like the state of the city. So you are definitely like the person who heads that up. Like
Okay.
you've been coming here for years.
I noticed you didn't.
Yeah, I probably have some identities that I can use.
You didn't give out any.
we'll talk about that in a second.
information.
Yeah, okay. So maybe we focus on getting into that safe house, kind of going out looking for the kids, plus gathering information. We'll throw a cutscene in there with House Vandry, with Salai and House Vandry. Maybe go to the ruins, and maybe the end of part of like the first episode, we establish that we need to get into Sorcerer to get some info.
That's cool.
And then the second part of next week we'll go to Sorcerer.
Cool.
And that'll be like a little dungeon crawl adventure.
Actually, that might play into if I do a cutscene. If we need to first, we find out that we need to get into Sorcerer, and then Salai going to Matron Vandry and seeing if she can.
Cool. Yeah, maybe we establish that we want to get into Sorcerer earlier in the episode, so that part of the information gathering and going out into the city, if we wanted to, can be like kind of setting up that mission.
Yeah, I like that.
Heistish. Awesome.
Cool.
I guess
Very
fun.
cool.
Yeah.
And I like. We'll play this out, Matt. But I like your idea of like the natural thing is for everyone to talk to Azun. He is a sentient creature. But if you just talk to Zavir, like Azun has to be the one communicating, but then he basically reluctantly serves as just like a mouthpiece.
Yeah.
So like if he wants to be talked to because he's sentient, but if you like ignore him and just talk to Zavir, you get more of just straight Zavir back.
Yeah. Which I think is what Jidden's going to want. Like his dealing with the communication, the extra voice is never like that because
Did it seem like you were bothered when Xavier spoke in your head? Like you did not like that?
yeah, he was uncomfortable.
Okay.
But I don't think it's a thing that would make you stop. I think he would get over it. He would get
Just
like
surprised, like
yeah,
rattled.
like wait, there's usually only 2 voices in here and there's a third all of a sudden kind of thing. Like
The other thing I just wanted to point, like, just let you guys know, like, as far as like the goal, like, I know you all have your individual goals, but like that House Duskrin, that, you know, they're going to come back, they're going to try to get revenge on you guys, and they're going to try to take over the city. The goal doesn't need to be like save Menzo. Cause I don't think any of you give a fuck.
Yep.
In fact, I know, you know, if the goal might be help Menzo be destroyed. But also, yeah, I mean, I'm just saying, like, sandbox, you know, you want to maybe make amends with House Duskrin, fucking go for it. You want to just stop them from coming here and go for it, you know, do whatever.
Okay.
Explore the studio space.
Totally down for clever drow shit. Just don't want you guys to think that I have like, here's where I want it to go. I don't want it to go anywhere.
Okay.
Josh, so there are ways that a druid could help someone so scarred as Xavier, but I think
Don't you remember the cutscene?
No, that was like the
spell plague.
no, not just the spell plague, but when they did that to him.
Oh, that's right.
They did this ritual, non-mechanically, but basically that no form of magical healing
Yep.
could.
um
Which I don't want to.
Yeah. It's for your character.
and that's something. So like, I think she thinks that
I mean, you might not understand that.
no, because our
It would
last
be cool to
conversation,
try to help him, maybe.
yeah, because our last conversation was we were talking when we were at that sanctuary or that temple. We were sort of made that mutual sort of that pact that like, I know I have some secrets. I have some secrets. What's, you know, and coming back, seeing that Xavier has been mutilated
With the
and
ringer.
like just scarred. And then Salai, on the other hand, has sort of prospered, and them not like knowing how to, you know,
Yeah, not on the same.
she probably thinks you've gone down to some dark magic and paid the price for it. But
think,
we'll probably find out that you're.
You know what the spell plague is, though. Like, you know about that. So yeah, and I think that's like when you see those marks, you know that's what it is.
Yeah.
The eye and the scar on the
you
face.
live through that too, and it's a pretty big deal.
How does something like that happen? Is it just using magic? It's just like a
During the
rebounding.
spell plague.
Arcane magic. Yeah.
Like it didn't, like, some arcane casters lost their power completely. Some got killed by trying to use it. Some got ultra powered, and some like bore this thing called the spell scar, which can be a boon or not.
It's like gamma radiation.
It's like how you make superheroes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but that's cool.
So ambiguous. Do whatever you want. Cool. Awesome. I'm liking it.
I like
That was
it.
fun.